Okay, so let's start with the good.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
She was great.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was great. Yeah, I read that she was only on screen for about like 7 minutes.
Yeah. I don't think that's... Look, this isn't like, you watch the Godzilla movie and he's only in it for 7 minutes. Her name isn't in the title. They could have done a Batman Superman team-up movie and had no Wonder Woman at all. She's getting her own movie next year, so I think 7 minutes is, I think 7 minutes is kind of nice. It's certainly the best 7 minutes in the movie.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else is good? I liked Ben Affleck's performance as Batman. Yeah. I look forward to seeing him in the next Batman solo film, which I think he's directing.
I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't looked.
Yeah, and I think it's great that we're finally seeing a portrayal of Batman specifically at this point in his life where he's been Batman for a long time.
Yeah. Did I understand that in this movie they say he's been doing this for 20 years?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Okay.
He's clearly over 40. Probably started being Batman in his 20s, so yeah, that fits.
Yeah. And still hasn't joined the Justice League. That's apparently the next step in his career. You know what? I like the Superman suit now.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah. It bothered you before?
Just that, I don't know, maybe just because they drained all the colors out, so it looked not as bright as it should.
Yeah.
I haven't compared it yet, but maybe they let some of the color back in, so it looks a little bit better. Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
Jeremy Irons as Alfred's fantastic.
He handles himself well, yes.
Yeah. And he has great rapport with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
We get the sense that these guys have been buddies for years.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for years. They're very are professional about it, but also they're good with the sarcastic jabs once in a while.
Yeah. Even with the material, Henry Cavill handles himself okay. Yeah. Amy Adams handles herself okay.
Yeah.
There's some kind of effort in the action scenes to say, okay, they just crashed onto this spot. There's no civilians there, or it's unpopulated. Or you're like, I led them to the docks here. There's no one else here except us. Like, right. Okay, so they actually have a mind towards avoiding civilian casualties, at least somewhat.
Yeah.
So that's something.
You can also get into stuff that's a little more divisive. Batman straight up murders people in this movie.
Yeah. This is the first, this is the most explicit Batman we've seen where he is not remotely shy about shooting guys.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring his own, sidearm to the fight, but he's fine with, using the machine guns on the Batjet.
Yeah.
And just, blowing guys up with that.
Yeah, to explode goons and, yeah. There's a guy with a flamethrower. He shoots a flamethrower and blows him up.
Blows that guy up.
And
then he gets into a state. He as a bunch of guys with guns, he's fine with just hijacking the gun while it's in the guy's hand and just letting it shoot other people. And then finally he has a standoff with one of the henchman number 1 over Ma Kent, and he just straight up shoots that guy.
Yeah.
Now here's the problem with that. The Suicide Squad movie comes out later this year. Joker's in it. If Batman's willing to just shoot criminals with guns, why is the Joker still alive?
Yeah.
He's been Batman for 20 years. You get the sense they didn't really think that through?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, is it evident that we went into this movie with pretty low expectations?
Yeah.
After, yeah.
Which
helped. It helped be not as disappointed with the whole thing, because it's like, who cares?
Yeah. See, what else wasn't so great? Jesse Eisenberg as Lex.
I hated him.
He was kind of terrible.
I wasn't looking forward to seeing him as Lex here, and I don't think the movie justified this pretty wild reinterpretation of the guy as this kind of, spoiled, hipster trust fund kid.
Who kind of comes across as this sniveling weasel of a schemer.
Yeah.
Who
we are told is Lex.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he has some cool lines for the trailer about angels and gods and stuff, but everything he does in the story is highly illogical.
Yeah.
And really contrived, and just to get these two guys to fight, and also to create Doomsday, which
Just to set up the climax.
Stuff that I don't even know what goes on there.
Like, you should be watching Lex, setting up his schemes to be like, oh, dude, that's so cunning, or oh, that's so evil. But it's all in the service of the plot. It's all in the service of setting up the final, final part of the movie that's all action. I went into this movie with my own headcanon that, okay, so, like, picture that your classic Lex Luthor in your head, and, like, say, from the cartoon, the one voiced by Clancy Brown, or from, even for Kevin Spacey or Gene Hackman, whatever. Like, so that's, like, your classic Lex Luthor. This guy that Jesse Eisenberg plays is that guy's son. So I had that in my head, and then in Eisenberg's first scene, he sort of has a line, I forget exactly how he says it, something about how, my dad put the Lex in front of LexCorp. So, yeah, like, okay, so you're saying that your dad was Lex, or your dad put your name, like, as a favor to you, because if it's the first one, then my headcanon is canon.
Yeah.
It may work for some people, but it did not work. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor did not work for me one bit at all.
All of my worries when he was first cast, they were realized.
Yeah. And look, Lex Luthor doesn't need to be reinterpreted. I mean we haven't...
Remember when we did our Superman Returns review, we were very upset that we still haven't gotten, like, that cool, modern Lex Luthor that we see on, like, the animated series and on Young Justice and in a lot of the modern comics.
Yeah.
So can't we get a version of that, please?
Can't we just do that?
Yeah.
Why do we have to get avant-garde and,
That's what we were hoping to see with, like, Kevin Spacey when he played Lex, but he was just playing Gene Hackman's Lex.
Yeah, and look, Lex ran for president. I mean, Lex became president in the comics. We have you want to get topical? We have a billionaire megalomaniac running for president right now. Just make Lex that guy.
This whole thing about how he creates Doomsday using the Genesis chamber.
It actually reminded me a little too much of his whole supervillain scheme in Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Where he basically... now, I'll say one thing to the film's credit, that he actually has to do some, intelligent trickery to get into the, the Genesis chamber this time?
Yeah.
Get into the Genesis chamber to, do his work there, as opposed to Superman Returns, where he just waltzes into the fortress, steals all the information, and then does his real estate scam from there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, we still have him. Just apparently all you need is Zod's fingerprints, which he slices off with the kryptonite. And once he has the fingerprints, he's in, because that's this alien technology isn't any more sophisticated than that. It doesn't even it still even responds to his voice, which is clearly not Zod. It's like, okay, so why, like the computer ought to be, why are you using Zod's fingerprints? Who the hell are you?
See, this whole thing with cutting his hand and his blood on Zod's corpse, I don't know what that did exactly.
Except to sort of make it so that Doomsday is his creation now, which you don't need that. He already is essentially his creation as he presented it. So why does it need to be his blood?
I don't know what goes on there. I'm still trying to work it out.
A bit like in Age of Ultron, like all the different elements brought together to create for Ultron to create the Vision in the movie. It's kind of confusing. I think it works better there because Vision looks great and really feels like a proper version of the character. Doomsday is pretty good here. I guess that's another good thing is how they realize Doomsday. Of course, he starts off as the this is like 12-foot tall monster. He doesn't have the bony protrusions yet until they try and drop a nuke on him, and then we see him shedding his skin, and now he's got the bone sticking out, as you see in the trailer, and people cheered at that part.
Yeah.
In the screening we saw. But of course, they have scaled the bone spikes down from how they are in the comics, where they're all over the place, sticking out all over his face.
Yeah.
So it makes him look more generic. as
Yeah.
opposed to if they go all out, then he would actually look like Doomsday. And he looks, just like, one of the cave trolls or like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that people have, compared it to.
Well, Zack Snyder couldn't resist doing his spin on the murder of Thomas and Martha.
Yeah.
Which is something that all 3 previous Batman directors have done quite well.
Yeah.
But when they showed that, and then the next sequence was when Bruce was in Metropolis during the big incident and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that they should have started the movie right there.
Mm-hmm.
They do flashback to the.
I think for that scene,
the origin again a couple times later in the movie. I would have been fine with just that.
I wonder if like the only thing. Imagine if the only part of that scene they showed was just with the necklace, that bit, which they kind of lifted. One of many things that were lifted from The Dark Knight Returns is when he gets the necklace caught in the gun, and then the gun shoots and shatters the necklace.
Yeah.
That thing. I mean, that pearl necklace seems to be an indelible part of that scene. When did that start, anyway?
I have no idea. It might have been in Dark Knight Returns, but
yeah.
I'm really not sure.
But I'm starting to wonder if it was around even before that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it came in during the 70s with Neil Adams and Dennis O'Neill's run.
I'll bet that was it, but we'll have to look into that more. There's a whole section of the movie that is solely devoted to setting up for the upcoming cinematic universe movies. Of course, there's Wonder Woman. That's she's a big part of that. We also get little bits of with watching early footage of Aquaman and the Flash and Cyborg, and then there's so give this more in a second. There's Batman gets like a dream where he sees like Flash from the future telling him.
That was kind of cool. Really unexpected.
Yeah.
Because we go from his big nightmare with like apocalypse, Earth taking over, and there are rumors about those flying guys being parademons. They're definitely parademons.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something to do with apocalypse.
So I guess we're setting that up.
Yeah. Dark side. Yeah. So and then we go right from there to a future Flash appearing to Bruce and telling him something about Lois being the key.
Yeah. And also, you were right to fear him, which, come on, dude, when you're breaking down the barriers of time and space, don't speak in pronouns. You gotta be specific.
Yeah.
Right to fear who? Fear Superman? Fear Lex? Come on, dude. But yeah, so that was kind of fun. And it helped, like, just those fan servicey moments to set up for future movies, I think, helped distract us from the main story, which wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we finally got to the big fight between the two characters, the crowd we're in was cheering at it like it was a wrestling match.
Yeah. Like, there's some people who were rooting for Batman and some people who were rooting for Superman, and they would cheer whenever, their guy got a hit in.
Yeah. I didn't really give a crap because we know that they're not going to kill each other, and it's going to end differently, especially since going into the fight, Superman has a notion to, because his mom's been kidnapped by Lex, so Superman has a notion to ask Batman for help. But instead of, he tries to do that, but then Batman, hits him, and he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to fight you instead. So the fight is just a couple of, assholes beating the crap out of each other when they really should just stop and talk to each other.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then, due to my low expectations, I just ignored the fact that the, setup for the fight is stupid, and just tried to do my best to enjoy it. It's, the action is, well shot, but of course Zack Snyder doesn't do great at,
actually
setting that stuff up or, getting the characters' motivations to make sense.
That's getting us just emotionally invested in the action.
Nope. And how does the fight end? Oh yeah, when with Lois' help they realize, oh, our mothers have the same first name.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen that made into a plot point, and I'm not sure I really care for it, to be honest. it was just very, very silly, the way that...
that's what made you guys realize you were on the same side?
Yeah. But Lex, like I said, he kidnaps Martha Kent, which means he finds out that Superman is Clark Kent.
In his first movie.
Yeah. That's the only reason he finds out his secret is so that he can kidnap Martha and set up this fight, which, like I said, was actually pretty sloppy. And so rather than, set up a whole shitload of bombs all over town, you're gonna do it that way. Let's have him kidnap and brutalize an old lady.
Yeah. What if he sent some bad guys over to Daily Planet, held that hostage? Then he has to save everybody in there. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have to know anybody specific. He doesn't have to know his secret identity. He just knows that if I put the staff of the Daily Planet in danger, Superman will want to save him.
Lex is banking on these two guys killing each other, or at least one of them killing the other.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't work, he's got this whole Doomsday thing ready. He keeps going through all this talk about, trying to bring down the gods or whatever. But then at the end, he's also got some kind of knowledge about more alien bad guys.
Yeah, that just comes out of nowhere. After they lock him up, and he starts yelling about how, the bell can't be unrung, and he's heard the sound, which I guess is Darkseid. He's talking about somehow he has alerted Darkseid. Very much the way that Thanos was alerted to the bigness of Earth at the end of the Avengers. But they didn't earn that.
Yeah,
I don't think.
His Lex becomes not only is he a sniveling weasel, his whole scheme is just in service of all the action that is really kind of dumb at its core.
Yeah. And also setting up for later movies.
Yeah.
Look, this movie is going to do big business. It already is doing big business because of the fact that it's, we finally get to see Superman and Batman on screen together. We get to see Wonder Woman on screen with them instead of her movie next year.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things that even if you know it's going to be bad, you have to see it anyway, just to be part of the conversation. That's, we knew we were gonna.
Yeah.
Even if it turned out to be not great. Which it did. By the way, we saw 3 trailers with this thing in front of it. Suicide Squad, X-Men Apocalypse, and Captain America Civil War, the most obvious ones. And all these movies all 4 of these movies are, way overloaded with characters from the comics.
Yeah.
They're all big ensembles now.
Mm-hmm.
But, we got Suicide Squad later this year. Wonder Woman is filming now. And they've already got... and they put all this work into fast-tracking, the next Batman movie, and, all leading up to a Justice League movie, Aquaman as well, all leading up to a Justice League movie.
But it's, weirdly exciting, because, in the past, DC tried to, get their cinematic universe started with Green Lantern. I'm sure, when they made Superman Returns, there was an idea of maybe eventually we'll team him up with, the Batman from the Nolan movies. And even if they decided, and of course neither of those worked out, and even if they decided to just keep the Nolan movies closed off, they must have thought about maybe we should try to connect it to the larger DC universe because this is already so popular and making us so much money. But they decided not to.
But Nolan was like, no.
Yeah. The point is, they can't stop now.
Yeah.
They are,
no matter how fundamentally flawed this thing is, the train has left the station.
Yeah. So they're not waiting to see their reaction to these movies. They are already, heading out and making more. They are going to get a cinematic universe into theaters to compete with Marvel or die trying.
Another big spoiler, I should say, this movie is the fight with Doomsday ends with Superman dying.
Yeah.
He used the kryptonite spear to kill Doomsday, and Doomsday kills him.
Spears him right back.
With his, severed bone stump.
Yeah.
Okay, so they depict the death of Superman in this movie.
Yep.
I couldn't get that broken up about it.
Yeah.
This is kind of the problem with killing Superman in almost any context.
Yeah.
Even the comics, on the cartoon, and the Superman Doomsday animated movie, we know he's going to come back.
Yeah.
In this case, we know he's going to come back because we know there's going to be a Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be Justice League. And we know that he's come back in the comics.
What I'm curious about is exactly how many DCCU movies will be released between this one and the one where he does come back.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, as each of them will probably have some sort of reference to it, except Wonder Woman, of course, which is all set in the past. So they've done it now. So that's not part of it. One recurring issue I had is there's a lot of stuff. This movie takes, besides Death of Superman, this movie takes a lot of stuff from Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Trying to recreate some of those moments, those scenes, those lines of dialogue. But it's not quite the same. And part of that is the fact that these characters. I mean, Batman's been around for 20 years, but we're still just meeting him.
Yeah.
Superman still just arrived, and at the end of the movie, we have the Trinity who just met. So
Yeah.
when Bruce and Diana are meeting at Superman's grave, or I can't remember if it's I guess it's Clark's grave. It doesn't mean the same thing as it would in the comics because they just met.
Yeah, they've had more interaction in this movie than probably either of them have had with Superman.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. I wish they'd gotten to know each other more. I'm glad that Bruce and Diana have the kind of interaction that they do.
Mm-hmm. That stuff was pretty good. Yeah.
It does feel kind of like they can be the parents of this future Justice League. It's weird that I don't really feel the same way about Superman.
Yeah, who's supposed to be the greatest hero in the world.
Yeah.
And just barely survived, and like the whole time he was alive here, just managed to become a pretty controversial figure.
Yeah.
In universe. I did like the section where they're like, can sort of have a general, like flipping through channels and sort of giving us a general media reaction, including from like real celebrities like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about that. That was pretty good. That was something I wanted to see in Superman Returns.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see the reaction to this figure from more people than just Lois and Perry and Jimmy.
Yeah. And Lex.
And Lex, yeah.
I really like getting that sort of real world, man on the street reaction to superheroes. That actually brings it home a little more.
Yeah.
And if you want to give us that grounded real world take, show us the real world reacting to it.
Yes, that's part of it. There's a section in the movie that I don't even know what the deal is. We have this guy played by Scoot McNairy, who his character lost his legs in the during the fight with Zod, or during the first movie. He's an employee for Wayne Enterprises. He was in the building then. Bruce, gets him out of the thing, but he's lost both of his legs, so he's in a wheelchair. He's the guy who, you saw this in the trailers, he graffitis the, false god on the Superman statue. And he sort of becomes involved in Lex's scheme to do something to undermine Superman. I think at the end of the day, it was just an excuse to give him the high-tech wheelchair, which has the bomb in it, so we can blow up Senator Holly Hunter. But, what was even the point of all that anyway?
Yeah. There's also something to tie Superman's plot in with Bruce Wayne's plot.
Yeah, like that's the case that brings them together.
Yeah.
And they don't even manage to heroically save the day at the end.
There's also something going on with the bullets that Lois came
right.
across.
I didn't even get that either. What were the bullets?
It has something to do with these guys who shot at this thing were hired by Lex.
Okay.
But even then, this incident in the desert that they keep referring to doesn't seem nearly as consequential as what happened at the end of Man of Steel.
Yeah. Were they bullets from Apocalypse?
I don't know.
Or I don't remember what the solution was.
Alright, pause. It's getting a little dark as you can see, so let's wrap this up.
Jimmy Olsen's in this movie.
Yeah, and they shoot him at the beginning.
Yeah. He's played by Lois is on assignment at the sands of fucking whatever country where the terrorists are. She's with Jimmy, who's played by Michael Cassidy, another actor from Smallville who pops up here. He's playing Jimmy, and he gets shot. And then Superman shows up to rescue Lois and beat up all the bad guys. So it's important enough for Superman to show up to save Lois, but not Jimmy Olsen, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh well. So that kind of felt like a big fuck you to the comic fans.
Yeah. Especially since in Man of Steel, there was the character of Jenny who was supposed to be in the Jimmy Olsen role, but I guess there were some people who were upset about that, so they changed their minds about it. And in addition to changing their minds, they also killed the real Jimmy that they brought in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Like Jenny's still there, so whatever.
Yeah.
Just stick with it.
Yeah, I mean Jenny's still in this movie. She doesn't do shit except tell Lois what's happening so she can go do her next thing.
Yeah. This trend we've been seeing in the DC movies ever since Batman Begins was trying to make everything dark and serious and more mature, but something has kind of gotten muddled along the way.
Yeah.
Because to the studios, dark and serious doesn't necessarily mean sophisticated and adult and well written. It just means devoid of humor or color.
Yeah.
And even if
or optimism.
Or optimism, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like even
because in any other Superman story, Superman would have stopped that explosion at the the UN?
At the Capitol?
At the Capitol, yeah. He would have stopped that. He would have, like as soon as he saw that she was uneasy about something, he would have like turned up his super hearing, X-rayed the room. It's like, oh crap, I gotta take care of this.
What we have here is sort of, in some ways, it's confirms a lot of people's fears about where this whole thing was headed.
Yeah.
That it's not the story is very kind of stupid at parts.
Yeah.
That, the characters don't make reasonable decisions.
Like when after the fight between our two heroes and with the spear, Lois picks up the spear and just them saying, yeah, you might need that for later. She throws it in the water so that we can have a whole long sequence later where they have to go get it, and then she almost dies, and then Superman almost dies, just to get the spear that she threw in the water for no reason.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Let's see here, and I don't know, and also, and something that the Marvel movies have found a great balance of is that, like especially in both of the Avengers movies, is that while the heroes, like a big battle involving superheroes, there's going to be a lot of destruction, but the superheroes, well-realized superheroes, can still save people, not just in the abstract like in Man of Steel, but in the immediate.
Yeah.
Like
Age of Ultron was getting into that a lot.
Yeah, it was almost
as a direct response to Man of Steel.
Exactly. When you look at the Battle of Sokovia against Ultron, you get the sense that the casualties were like maybe 12 people.
Yeah.
Out of thousands.
Yeah, with the army of giant robots attacking and everything exploding, and like that, and it's no big deal. The Avengers got it.
Yeah. It was like in this movie, in both the Man of Steel, and then they show the battle from Bruce's point of view, where there's like the ship is crashing through buildings and stuff, and it's really kind of a harrowing. The sense that Superman is in that ship, and he's like not doing his job by letting it crash into the city like that.
Yeah.
That's sort of the sense I sometimes get when the filmmakers turn it into destruction porn to make it like realistic. When it's when we didn't come to see superheroes be realistic. We came here to see them, succeed and triumph and actually do what they're supposed to do, which is save the innocents. And
save the day.
Yeah.
And not just watch people die. I don't go to a Superman movie to watch people die.
So I'm really at a point where I hope that Zack Snyder can be phased out of this mess.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the best thing they can do for this cinematic universe series is to get rid of him. I mean, Joss Whedon basically, after he... they were kind of hoping that he would be Joss Whedon, but Zack Snyder just doesn't have the skills that Joss Whedon has.
No.
And even still, Whedon had to do a lot to make Age of Ultron just as good as it was, with all the other stuff he had to do with tying it to the other movies and incorporating all these other elements. And thereafter, he said, like, guys, I'm totally burned out on this. I'm cutting ties with the MCU altogether. And we're like, okay, fine. Thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah.
But Godspeed.
But looking at the way that DC and Warner Bros. Has just handed Zack Snyder the keys to everything, like first with 300, okay, maybe his best movie, all things considered. But then with Watchmen, which I think Zack Snyder made the best Watchmen movie that he was capable of making, even doing things that the studio wasn't too keen on. To do those things and then go, okay, you're the guy for Superman, I'm not really seeing the through line there.
No.
And then also saying, okay, you're the guy to bring the Justice League about. So, if it keeps heading down this direction, I think it's going to be a black mark ultimately, especially with the DC live action properties on television doing so well, and also doing the optimistic things so well, and embracing the more classic and kitschy Silver Age elements in a way that the movies seem almost ashamed to embrace. Like, again, ever since some of the Nolan films, when they tried to do that on film, we sort of got Green Lantern. But, they kind of went about it all wrong. But we still have Civil War and X-Men Apocalypse and Suicide Squad to look forward to this year.
Yeah, but look, don't feel bad about going to see this movie even if you're expecting it to be bad. There's stuff that you can hang on to that you might get a kick out of. Just all that, like with Wonder Woman and all the other fan servicey stuff.
It'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. But like if like I could never have been the guy who said I didn't see this movie because I heard it was bad. Even if it's bad, and I don't buy the notion that you shouldn't see this movie because we don't want to support stuff like that. This movie is going to make a zillion dollars no matter what.
Yeah.
It's okay to see this movie if you just want to participate in the conversation.
Yeah.
There's
like
no shame in that at all.
This movie, it's historic, like it or not.
Yeah.
We're at that point now. So, yeah. I do wish it was better. I do wish a lot of things were different. Like often the case, I wish we were more at this point like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we could have a movie that was doing the things that this movie is trying to do.
Yeah.
In some ways, it feels like they're, in addition to trying to make everything grounded and nasty, they're also trying to catch up to Marvel, which is why a lot of things.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. And like a lot of things, probably too many things happen in this movie, but I don't think that's even close to its biggest problem.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yep.
And
there's no stopping it.
Yep. Well, that's all we got to say, and we'll see you next time.
Uh-huh.